Here's the next part of my conversation with Cousin Tom where we talk about the lovely Nancy. You said you met in 11th grade.
We did.
First time. What's the first time you
Farmington
described
High
that?
School.
Farmington, Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had, seen her here or there, and
Alright.
she was pretty darn cute, let me tell you. But it was at some little house party in a friend's house.
Okay.
One of these affairs when the parents weren't there. Don't tell anybody, but
House party.
saw her at a little house party, and for just a moment she was standing by herself. So me, the big chicken with my knees knocking and all that kind of stuff, I walked up to her and started talking to her, and she talked back.
Wow.
It was amazing.
What gave you the guts? What gave you the push?
Man, there was just something about her. It was like, if you've ever seen on the show where the object of affection is the only one visible, everybody else kind of grays out in the background.
And there's some harp music.
Almost,
or maybe not
right,
music, but,
all that kind of stuff. That's kind of what it felt like. There was just something about her, and I'm telling you what, So we started talking and started dating shortly thereafter, and man, it's been, we've been going ever since, pretty much.
Good long while, yeah.
Yeah.
Could you see, because your knees are knocking, your heart's thudding, your tongue is dry, you're walking over there, you're taking your shot. In her eyes, looking back at you, did it seem like you had a shot? Or how quickly did you resolve the anxiety part of it?
Well, for my part, I was kind of jittery that whole time, but, was able to ask her out again, and she actually said yes. So, you know what? We might be onto something here.
It was going all right. And you were married like right after high school, or?
No, actually, we ended up dating for, I was 24 when we married. She was 23, soon to be 24.
5 or 6 years later.
Yeah. So so I was 17, she was 16. So it was almost 7 years later.
Do you remember that first conversation?
You mean when she and I first
What, you
dated?
talked about that first time?
No, not at all.
Okay.
All I remember is I passed.
Okay.
She didn't reject me.
It was spinning too
I
fast.
don't know if women appreciate the fear men have. Right?
I think they do.
When I was a 17-year-old,
yeah.
I was like,
I think there are different kind of women, and some appreciate the power they have so much that they use it for advantage.
I know.
But I
Use
think
it a
that
little too
others
much.
find it sincere, right? And that's what they want, is to be seen in those eyes, with those eyes.
Yeah.
And so you raised
appreciated and-
3 kids
yes.
who are now on their own and married. All your kids are married now.
Our older two are, our youngest, Paul, has a significant other, Katie, that he's been dating about 3 years or so. So only 4 more to go and they'll get married,
Yeah, no, on that pace.
I mean, these days, everybody waits till they're 35 or 40. What's up with that?
People do
right?
live a lot longer.
But
In their
still,
defense.
Man,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I felt
Anyways.
like if I had kids in my 20s, I did not have the patience. I was a fast-moving, somewhat angry, impetuous young man, and I don't think I would have had the patience that having a first child in my 40s turned into. And I was aware of it at the time.
Yeah.
And I just knew that was not the thing to do right away. And the other side of it is, if you have your kids early and they're out of the house, well, you still have some lively years remaining to enjoy, versus starting later and having the patience for it, but living with raising kids later into your life.
Of course, so many cultural changes that affect all of us.
Yeah.
Things are very different today than they were, 50 years ago when we were getting started. And that was very typical. We have lots of friends that got married in their early 20s, of course, just either right out of college or one
How
thing or
many of
another.
them are still together?
Quite a few, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
there have been casualties along the way, but of the long-term friends that I'm still friends with from 40 plus years ago, quite a few, actually.
And would they have been friends as part of a faith community? As part of your church? Or are you still Catholic? Because you were raised Catholic. What
I was raised Catholic,
what would you
right?
describe yourself as now?
Evangelical Christian, a Protestant, what have you. I go to a church that's called Sovereign Grace, Dayton. Sovereign Grace is a small denomination. There's probably 80, 90 churches, something like that. But it's just pretty
The
much
one that speaks to
straight up
you.
Protestant
Yeah.
theology.
Well, and what I'm more interested in is the great part of being with Nancy as as preparation for the crummy end, and
Yeah.
and maybe end isn't even the right word either, right? You're to get the news out up front. Your wife got ALS. Your wife got Lou Gehrig's disease, which you probably describe better than me, but it's a progressive degenerative neural.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Condition
gradually
that has no cure.
paralyzes all of your skeletal muscles. Hers is what they call bulbar onset, which speaks of the head and neck region.
Is where it
So
started.
it started there, gravitated downward. A lot of people, and it's, I don't know what the split is, but it's not quite 50-50. I think it's a little more common that it shows up in the lower extremities where they're walking along and just stumble.
Yeah.
And, that kind of begins happening. And then they start noticing some weakness in their ankles or that kind of thing. And, it progresses upward.
And this is because the nerves are being interrupted from sending the signal from the brain to that part of the body.
Yeah, and what's happening is there's actually an attack on the nerve sheath itself
Okay.
that begins to destroy that, and eventually it interrupts the signal, and the signal, there is no signal to the muscle any longer, and it atrophies.
And do they not even know what the? Is it? It's not a germ. It's not a virus. It's not a. Have they identified?
They really have not. We worked for a while with a neurologist who his strong belief was that it's bacterial related, that there can be very angry bacteria in the gut that literally can penetrate the sheath around the brain like a meningitis does.
Okay.
And attacks the brain stem and etc. He was working actively on that theory. There were more studies that seem to support that, but it's not conclusive by any means.
Right.
And when we were in the process of getting, we got our actual diagnosis, sadly, in January of 20. We went up to the Cleveland Clinic within 2-3 weeks, and in speaking with the neurologist there, they felt that there was enough progress being made that they might have effective treatments up to possibly even including a cure, is what they said, within 5 years. And they were being very careful. Believe me, they weren't frivolous.
Yeah.
And here we are now 6 years later, and
nothing.
Right. So it's a tough one.
And she
it's really tough.
lasted, the original diagnosis, they expected a couple of years, I think you said, and she lasted 4.
Well, yeah, when I first started doing any research on it, what I would see typically on Mayo Clinic's website or various different places is 3 to 5.
Okay.
So she lived with it for about 4.5, roughly. That's if you don't count when it first started, when we first noticed the symptoms. If you really go back to beginning of 2019, when I first noticed a slight change in her speech, which eventually increased into, the full-blown condition, that's what, 5.5 years or so. So I thought that was kind of in the range. The doctor that was caring for her from hospice in the last several months of her life said that she considered a very slow-moving case, that she had a number that moved, that
much quicker.
Yeah, that brought about a fatality.
And you
in 2
said
years,
she lost her ability to speak. How early?
It was very gradual. By the time her speech was pretty much unintelligible, we were into probably the late 22, early 23, right in there.
So a couple of years before you got there. And so in that time when she could still express herself, but the diagnosis was clear and the outcome was unlikely to change, what did those conversations look like? What did she look for from you, and how did you get through that?
It was really tough. We've always had a really, really close relationship. It was typical for us we're both night owls, so we would sit up and drink tea and talk till midnight or 1 o'clock many nights a week. I just kind of shared everything. We decided everything together. We, you're heading up to the store, I'll go with it. You know what I mean? We just were together all the time. So, critical to her was my support, being there, encouraging her. Our faith was absolutely fundamental. Some people get into a set of circumstances like this that really this disease is a death sentence. I'm not aware of anyone that beats it, but some people get into that kind of situation and get angry with the Lord, like, why me? And the kids just got on their own and they're doing well, and these are the greatest years. These are great years, and yet we haven't been able to enjoy that. But between Nancy and myself, Peter, we never got angry with the Lord. We've been through enough things over the years. We've seen His provision. Again, time fails us, but we went through a financial trial that lasted over 4 years, where we were on the edge of the cliff. Okay,
Because of the expense of the care that
no,
was
utterly
covered?
unrelated. This was
Unrelated.
20 years before.
Oh,
My
okay.
point in that is we saw God's faithfulness through that whole thing. A little bit of provision here, a little bit of provision there, and this difficulty ground on for like 4 years, and yet we came out the other side of it. It was business related. We lost our biggest customer. 2 or 3 things happened in a row. We lost 40% of our sales 3 years in a row. I mean, that's like a free fall.
Yeah.
And yet, we had legitimate trade debt. Suppliers had built products, sent it to us. We couldn't pay. And we were committed to just show up every day and keep hammering.
Yeah.
And then if the bank came and closed the doors, they closed them. That's nothing we can do anything about. But we weren't going to run.
Yeah.
And we just, trusted the Lord through all of that. We made it through all that. We recovered. We paid everything back, all that kind of thing. So we've seen God care for us countless times, in many other situations. So we knew His heart. We knew His character. We know what His Word says about Him. We just know His heart. So, and we're not immune to hard things in our life. So, so we trusted in Him going through all that. And I mean, there were so many ways where He cared for us and provided through all of that. I was able to care for her here at home all the way through the end. Some dear friends, gals, some were, gals that she knew from various different get-togethers or a women's Bible study or one thing or another. They kind of formed a little network of caregivers, and they rotated, coming over in the afternoon for 3 or 4 hours. That would allow me to get out and do a little shopping or run to the office and put out a few fires, all that stuff.
Did you still have to
Yeah, I was
attend
still
to work?
working through all that. And my partner was incredibly understanding and gave me all the latitude I needed. That helped tremendously. But again, my point is we didn't become angry with God. And, I know that she's in His presence, not because, she's a nice lady because she accepted the promise of Jesus Christ, that if you trust Him and not yourself, not your good deeds and, whatever you can bring to the table, because His Word says we can't bring enough to the table to satisfy God. We have sinned, okay? But He made provision for us. We've trusted in Christ. She's in His presence. And I have absolute confidence I will be too. If I were to die this minute, if I get hit by a truck, I don't fear death.
Right.
I just don't fear it because of His promises, not because, I know I'm so good that on the average, it's not how
you really?
It's not how it works, right? You know what? The Scripture says there's none righteous, no, not one, right? That's why we need what Christ offers to all of us. Many accept it. Sadly, many don't. But I live with the total confidence that I will see her again. Now, it's rough with her being gone and us being one. Literally, the two shall become one, and we did. And to have her gone, when you go home to a home. I come home to a house. It's empty, right? And yes, I get together with friends and, I'm meeting a friend tomorrow morning for coffee and having dinner with another friend tomorrow, that kind of thing. Those are events. That's not my
But
life.
50 years of being one
Right.
doesn't disappear
Yeah.
with a couple of dinners.
Right.
Yeah.
And it has been so incredibly disorienting to not have my soulmate to discuss everything with, It's like, just all the decisions we made, whether it was going on vacation or just what we're doing this afternoon.
Yeah.
We just did that together. Now it's kind of like, knock yourself out. You can do whatever you want. What do I want? It's just been really, really difficult.
Do you talk to a version of her that isn't physically there in the room with you, but that you know her well enough that you can feel how she would answer?
Not really. I mean, I roll things over in my mind. About the only talking to her I do, quite frankly, is I've got a picture of her over here on this chest, and I usually say goodnight to her. But as far as, I appreciate what you're saying, but usually it's, I roll it over in my mind, what would we do together? Or how would we,
right?
But it just, going it alone has been really, really, really tough.
And it's 2 years yet, or
It's been a little over 2 years. So she passed in, well, actually coming up on. So she passed in April of 24, and so coming up in April
it'll
will
be 2 years.
Yeah,
It's
so we're
not yet
just
2 years. It would
just
be
coming up.
it would be hard to imagine that you could process that grief in 2 years.
And the thing is, now I know a number of people who've been widowed or one thing or another, and they say you never get through it completely.
Right.
Yes, things get better. Yes, you're functional and all of that. But as far as just the gaping hole in your heart because your one and only true love is gone,
Yeah.
it just doesn't go away.
No, I wouldn't expect it
So
to.
I kind of know that's what I'm going to live with, and yet just by virtue of the fact that I'm here, I feel like God's still got an assignment for me. When I'm with the guys down at Montgomery County Jail and we're going through a course of material together, man, I feel alive. I just feel like, okay, this is one of the callings He has on my life. Certainly is to do this and to share my faith with these guys, and that's incredibly gratifying.
Yeah. One of the clearer examples I've seen of the power of faith to help make life go a little more smoothly. Thank you, Tom, for the time. We will talk more.